WINUX. WINUX is a Linux distro that combines the stability of modern Ubuntu with your questionable fondness for the Windows 11 aesthetic. But is this a real distro, or is it more of a joke? Well, today to find out, we're installing it on this, a brand new right out of the box GEEKOM GeekBook X14 Pro that I'd like to make my primary laptop. We're doing weird Linux stuff again, so stay tuned. And if you enjoy installing normal Linux on weird computers and weird Linux on normal computers, I hope you'll consider subscribing to the channel. I've been hunting around for a new daily driver laptop for a while. My previous one was an 11-inch Intel MacBook Air with 4 gigs of RAM, which I love, but that thing's a bit limited. I then started testing Ubuntu for T2 Macs on a Touch Bar MacBook Pro 13, but that's a bit unreliable and a bit long in the tooth, and even after swapping in a new battery, it doesn't last as long as I'd like. And forget playing games on 10-year-old hardware, at least anything more demanding than Brotato. But we'll have a separate video on the Touch Bar Mac Linux experience. When GEEKOM generously offered to sponsor today's video, they also sent me this, their brand new GeekBook X14 Pro, which has been getting some pretty positive press lately. It has an Intel Ultra 9 185H, 32 gigs of LPDDR5 memory, which is worth more than my car at this point, and Intel Arc graphics, which are much better than you're probably thinking. The M2 slot in here supports PCIe Gen 4 and is currently populated with a 2TB drive. This thing has 2 USB-C ports, and absolutely amazing, a USB Type-A port. I also really love the camera kill switch. And I really love the full-size HDMI port, but there are 2 specific reasons why I'm leaning towards this laptop as my Linuxy daily driver. You can probably guess the first one. The size and form factor of this thing is very similar to the 13-inch MacBook Pro. That's a magnesium unibody. It's also like half a pound lighter than the MacBook Pro, which was surprising. But the biggest pro that this thing has over nearly any other laptop in this size and price point, a beautiful 120Hz 2.8K OLED display. I've wanted to daily drive an OLED laptop for a long time. And spoilers, this display does not disappoint. But if this thing is going to be my daily driver Linux laptop, it has to run Linux. And because I like to live life on the edge, it has to be a weird Linux. Enter WINUX. Alright, before we boot this off of the WINUX installer, why don't we pull up Steam and get a baseline for how this thing performs under its native Windows 11. And that also means we can use my favorite hamster mouse because we have our USB Type-A port. We don't need to have a silly string of dongles sticking out the side. Yeah, just take a look at how well BeamNG Drive performs on this thing. BeamNG Drive is, of course, a very taxing CPU-heavy game with extremely complex physics. Oh, look at this. Not only does it works frickin' great. And this OLED display looks frickin' incredible. My goodness gracious. Well, I do think I've messed this one up. Whoops. We've also got Vane, which is an early access game on Steam, and also very intensive. Yeah, look how well this runs on this laptop. And I just like to point out, this is not intended as a gaming laptop. No, this is an ultra portable that's really geared towards battery life and stable performance. My goodness, look how well this runs. This is way better than I expected. On this 2.5K display, OLED, it looks and runs smooth. Oh my god, is this a chef? It's a zombie chef! I will stab you with my pliers. Stab you with my pliers! Zombie chef! I love that this comes with this kind of power brick instead of the huge old school laptop power supplies. Don't miss those. USB installer into our luxurious full-size USB Type-A port. And then we will just spam F7 at boot. We need to go down to setup because we need to turn off secure boot. so we can boot this thing. Secure boot disabled. Oh yeah, like that boot up graphic. Built-in EFI shell. No. Did you not flash correctly? All right, WINUX USB attempt 2. And we will choose USB disk 3.0 PMAP. Oh, look at this. Select operating system Windows theme over Linux. Well, I know it's doing something because the USB drive is blinking away. Oh, it's doing stuff. Look at that. Here we are. WINUX. And it does not seem to like this resolution that much. This is a 2.5K display. Now, WINUX here is KDE over Ubuntu, just themed for Windows users. So since KDE would be fine with this display, WINUX should as well. All right, yeah, we can just scale this up a bit. 150. It does not seem to want to change the scale. Maybe it needs a restart. Let's do a full install. All right, already this isn't totally promising because there is text that I can't see. I think, again, this is to do with scaling issues on this display. All right, New York, yeah, close enough. Keyboard, we will erase the disk and do the whole thing as WINUX. What is my name? All right, name of this computer, GEEKBOOK. We will do a strong and secure password. Definitely not just the word action in all lowercase, because that would be insecure. And install. Goodbye, Windows 11. Hello, WINUX. Hopefully jump cut to install complete. All right, install complete. Let's restart. Oh, I hope we get to see that at startup every time. I love it. Oh, it's working. It's booting into WINUX. And it's still way too small. Sign in with my strong and secure password here. Oh, look, it says something about Copilot in the corner, except I can't quite make it out. Let's see. Start menu. Yes. All right, system settings. Let's see if we can fix this display scaling. Say okay. Do I have to restart? Maybe just log out. My friends, we are already experiencing some issues with WINUX. Look, I don't think that worked. Yeah, we're still in tiny scale. Yeah, global scale is set, but it doesn't like it. Maybe it can only do 200. It sees that we're at 120 hertz. I mean, I guess we could change the actual resolution, but then we lose some of the sharpness of this beautiful screen. Okay, found kind of a happy medium here at 2560 by 1600, even though it's not the native display of this machine, so it's not as crisp as it should be. But what I want to do now is just connect this to the internet, and they gave me this little dongle here. It actually comes in the box. So we'll go wired, which of course this thing does also have Wi-Fi. Okay, so we've already found some issues here with WINUX. Of course, the resolution could be fixed in the command line, but I'm not going through that much effort here. WINUX is intended for people who are moving from Windows to Linux and should not require such configuration. I'm gonna stick my hamster mouse dongle in, make sure everything works. Yeah, it works. So by default on here, we do have some applications installed. Our web browser, of course, is Microsoft Edge, just like Windows 11, because there is a Linux port of Microsoft Edge, which of course now is just based on Chromium. What is this slideshow it's making me sit through? All right, is Firefox on here by default? It is not. But we are not dealing with Microsoft Edge. So let's see, software, I think is in Discover. Let's get Firefox through the Software Center. Strong and secure password. All right, while that installs, we have some other applications on here. In fact, quite a lot. We have an Android emulator and file transfer, video downloader, and emoji selector for the millennial in us all. All your favorite KDE stuff is in here, like Console and KDE Connect and KMag and KTorrent. But something they've added to WINUX, which I think is a good idea, all these shortcuts to Microsoft Office applications, which will allow you to open documents that you could already open in your original Windows install. Again, this distro is intended for people switching from Windows to Linux to give them a familiar user experience while still using KDE and Ubuntu under the hood. Oh, we actually have Steam on here by default. All right. Oh, there comes Steam. All right, let's just download a few games so we can test out the power of the GEEKOM under WINUX. We, of course, need BeamNG Drive. Give Vane a shot again. Teardown, one of my favorite games of all time. And yes, these are Windows games we're downloading. And we are not on Windows, we're on WINUX, but Steam has Steam Proton, meaning any Linux distro that can run Steam can probably run Windows games. Okay, while that stuff downloads, let's see which of the features of this laptop work under Linux. So we've got backlit keyboard works, screen brightness works, volume works, mute works. Wow, even lock works. Look, the lock screen works. Everything works. I still remember the days when you'd have to fiddle with Linux to get it to work. All right, we do have a Copilot button on this laptop, and one of the features of WINUX, is that there is Copilot built in. So if we hit this button, does Copilot come up? It does not, but we do have access to it down in the corner here, which I don't know why you'd want to run Microsoft Copilot, but if you do, it's there. Hooray. AI in everything. Okay, let's check our Steam games, and then we will test out one of the most controversial aspects of this operating system. So first we'll try Teardown, a game I love and which is quite taxing, but ran very well on this machine under Windows 11. And here it is running under Steam Proton. Nice. Man, this screen is absolutely beautiful. Just the blacks. You cannot beat the blacks on this OLED. Yeah, look, we even got our mod manager. Let's load into that same cyberpunk map. Well, unfortunately, it won't go past the loading screen here. It's not happy. Let's see if we could just pick a different Steam Proton version. Let's do experimental. All right, well, apparently no Teardown. Let's try BeamNG Drive. The entire reason behind this project. Uh-oh. Well, let's just try a different version of Steam Proton. Oh yeah, look at that! Steam Proton is basically magic. All right. Honestly, it plays great. We've got audio, good frame rate. Color me impressed. All right, dare we try Vane? Of the 3 test games, I expect this one to work the least. Oh, well, shockingly, we're launching. Look at that. Oh man, are we gonna play Vane? Yeah, look at that, we're playing Vane. The frame rate is much worse than Windows 11, but it is running. I mean, can you imagine having this experience on Linux back in the day? Everything just working for the most part, and you can run Windows games off of Steam. I mean, this is not a mainstream Linux distro, but it is based on one. If your Linux distro can run Steam, you can run just about anything. Okay, let's talk about the most controversial aspect of this operating system. All of the features of this distro are not available unless you pay for it. There's a paid Power Tools upgrade to get all the features of this distro. And back when we covered Ubuntu on this channel, I did in fact pay the $15 for the extra features. And I'm really curious to see if my Ubuntu license key will work here on WINUX. I mean, it should. They're really the same operating system, just with slightly different branding. All right, I've got my license key here. Jump cut to I'm gonna enter it. We'll see if it works. Oh boy, it sure does not. Well, that's kind of a shame. I'm not paying for this again. All right, let's just try to open some of these weird applications to see what they do. 4K video downloader. Okay, it is what you would expect. Android. Power Tools Android support. I guess we have to pay for that. Or maybe not. How's the webcam on this thing? Yeah, look at that. The kill switch works. Excellent. We have a Heroic Games launcher, which I have no idea what Heroic Games is. Epic. Oh, it's the Epic Store. Oh, so I could download Magic the Gathering. And jump cut to I have installed Ubuntu on this thing, because I'm really curious to see if Ubuntu works better than WINUX, because WINUX is based on Ubuntu, but I think a slightly older version of Ubuntu than this. This is 2510, the last release of Ubuntu, and it runs GNOME, as opposed to modified KDE like WINUX does. So I've installed Steam, I've installed our test games. Let's try BeamNG Drive. Also worth noting is that GNOME has no such issues with the high density display, 2.5K. Everything is scaled perfectly, right out of the box. Oh yeah, it sure does work. Performance seems to be about on par with WINUX. Again, makes sense because WINUX is built on Ubuntu, and now we're just running straight Ubuntu. Pretty cool. Check BeamNG off the list. Alright, Teardown does not want to work under Steam Proton for some reason. Let's try Vane. Alright, well, that was fun. WINUX. It's like Windows, but it's Linux. But let's be real, I'm not going to keep WINUX on my daily driver machine. I'm probably going to keep Ubuntu on here unless I get frisky and try to install Arch. I really do rather quite like this laptop though. I mean, just look at this thing next to a 13-inch MacBook Pro. It's like perfect. So thanks again to GEEKOM for sending me your GeekBook X14 Pro. I really do frickin' love it. And if you're in the market for a new ultra-portable but powerful laptop that really doesn't break the bank, you can't go wrong with this thing. OLED. Beautiful OLED. But that'll do it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. And as always, thank you very much for watching. And I just want to give a very special thank you to all of my Patreon supporters and channel members. Thank you so much, each and every one of you, for supporting me and supporting this channel and all the weird stuff I do. I am so very grateful, and I just could not do this without you.